So what we want to do is present a little bit about a little bit of different service offering that we're offering to our customers and to the industry. As a quick introduction, my name is Vince Cebular. I've been at IPS 25 years, so quite a while. I lead our GMP compliance group, so from that we do basically GMP compliance consulting, commissioning, qualification, validation, quality management, system support, basically a lot of activities we're going to talk about today in the meeting. And this is Mike.
I'm not on. Oh, hey, good morning. I'm Mike Westerman. I'm the Director of Operations for our compliance group for IPS. I've been with IPS for probably 10 years, working with Vince and our team to put this package together to kind of present today at ISPE.
So who is IPS and what we do? We really take pride in enabling our clients to manufacture life-saving products, life-saving drugs. We offer services in the consulting, in the architectural, engineering, construction management, GMP compliance consulting, regulatory. So we service just really the pharmaceutical market. We're taking that, we're expanding it into the cell and gene therapy market. We're a company of just under 1,400 employees. We're approaching 200 employees in the GMP compliance realm. We're in 19 offices in 9 different countries, so we are a global organization. We have expertise in basically all the different global regulatory, what the regulators are looking for, and we have a lot of international SMEs in many different platforms, whether that's aseptic processing, cell and gene therapy, biotech, in many different areas. So the premise of the CarTon and what we're going to talk about is we're really trying to help our customers with a solution of what we're saying vial to vial in the cell and gene therapy. You're receiving patient or donor materials basically in a vial. You go through the entire life cycle, the manufacturing life cycle, and you're returning it back to a patient in a vial. So we've looked at how can we help companies to really provide a turnkey solution in the cell and gene therapy. So our basic services, as I mentioned, we do technical consulting, engineering, CM, EPCMV, GMP compliance, not just for pharmaceuticals, but for the ATMP, Advanced Therapeutic Medicinal Products. A couple years ago, IPS launched a product called ICON. ICON is really a turnkey facility solution. It's modular and based. I'll talk a little bit about that, but if you're interested in the ICON product, you can visit us at our booth. It's booth 304. And then the CarTon. And what is the CarTon? So we try to come up with something that we can offer all in one package, all in one box. So we came up with the term CarTon. It's really a complete solution for the CAR-T, cell and gene therapy, all in one package that we can offer to our customers. So why the CarTon and what is the need for the CarTon? So industry's always talked about time is money, but really in the cell and gene therapy, time is lives. A lot of these patients are cancer patients, they're rare disease patients, and they don't have a lot of time. There's not a lot of other solutions. A lot of the facilities are research and startup. There's over 400 cell and gene therapy companies that are in that startup and research phase. There's a lot of research hospitals that are developing their own therapies to deliver to the patients at the hospitals. And a lot of these companies don't have manufacturing experience. They're relying on CMOs and others. They're really highly PhDs developing the therapies, but they're not necessarily adapted to what it takes to manufacture. We've seen with many clients that the facility is done. They've started the engineering and the construction, but they're not ready to take really ownership and begin manufacturing. So it's a challenge. So what we're trying to offer is to put a solution in place that while you're designing and constructing the facility, you're also getting ready to operate the facility. Regulatory experience is limited. really the first gene therapy product only came to the market 2 to 3 years ago in 2017. There's only 5 or 6 approved gene therapy drugs. So there's not a lot of regulatory experience. A lot of the regulators have not seen this type of technology in these types of facilities, which leads to a lot of challenges for the companies themselves. A lot of these companies, since they've used CMOs or CROs for the development, they don't have an existing quality management system. They really need to start from scratch. So we looked at what are some of the challenges, and a lot of these challenges we're trying to address in the original service offering as part of the CarTon. The application of aseptic processing guidelines into the cell and gene therapy. It creates a lot of challenges as far as how you're going to handle a lot of the equipment and things like that aren't really designed to be put in a grade B type clean room, incubators, centrifuges, equipment that was more developed for laboratory and not really developed for full-scale aseptic manufacturing. Multiple patients. The batches are small. A lot of the products themselves are patient-specific. To get some economy of scale, they're putting multiple batches, multiple things in one room that are happening concurrently. That's not traditional in big pharma. The quality control practices for autologous products. Again, the release time. A lot of these things have to be released before maybe your EM data is available and things like that. If you have failures with EM data, are you going to withhold that product from a patient that's already, this could be their last solution? How do you address those types of things? Scaling up versus scaling out. Again, how do we manufacture? There's been a lot of speakers talking about how do you manufacture in a much more commercialized fashion versus just taking R&D type technology and expanding it. Challenges to maintain and control sterility assurance, the whole data integrity piece. How are you tracking patient samples, donor samples, that whole chain of custody type of thing is a big challenge for the data integrity piece from that standpoint. Containment and segregation of your viral vectors so that you're containing, you're not preventing any cross-contamination. So really quick, this isn't an icon, but what we wanted to do is, as part of that turnkey solution, we have an icon solution, which is a prefabricated process clean rooms. They're basically in pods. These pods, we can work with the main equipment suppliers to implement that technology either in the pod prior to shipment or that it's ready to be put into the pod once the pod's received. The structure can be an independent structure, and we've worked and partnered with other companies that the building is basically pre-designed and ready to go, so you can start your permitting immediately. You can do the pod design, and it all comes together at a much faster pace. And the CarTon basically aligns with this, that if you're on a fast track approval with the FDA, we can really help start that whole operational readiness piece while you're basically getting your facility design implemented and ready to go. So what the pod is, basically, again, not to spend too much time, we take the process, integrate the process into individual pods. So it's the process, it's the cleaning, it's support functions. Those go into the pods and then they go into the building. So it's really a turnkey solution that saves a pretty significant amount of time getting facility up and running and taking our product, and it'll be operational ready in a much quicker. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. He's actually going to talk to you more about the details of what CarTon really is, what it offers, and we'll go from there and answer any questions at the end. So thank you.
Switch spots with you. So thanks again for coming. So we came up with this CarTon idea. It's where speed to market is critical for saving lives, right? So following along with the Icon offering, this offering is a family of services, basically 3 overlapping services. That starts with quality by design, commissioning, qualification, and validation, and then manufacturing readiness, and coming up with a plan to implement that in your facility. So we'll talk about quality by design, right? So as you're starting your design process, These different domains that you would do during design: manufacturing and contamination control strategy, helping define the product definition in CQAs, generating user requirements very early in the design process, doing design reviews and DQs against the various markets that you plan on selling in, coming up with a quality and regulatory approval strategy, various risk assessments that are associated, whether it's cross-contamination, product risk assessment, single-use technology, coming up with these early on in the design process. And finally, your validation strategy and your life cycle documentation requirements, meaning, and again, we're thinking speed when we're thinking about this, right? So coming up very early in the process, like what are you going to use vendors to qualify? How are you going to leverage that into your quality systems? How are you going to get SOP support and startup support, right? Okay. So then we move into this commissioning, qualification, and validation phase. And basically, when you look at much of the equipment and processes associated with cell and gene therapy manufacturing, a lot of it's fairly simple equipment compared to maybe an aseptic isolated fill line or things like that, right? So we've come up with standardized templates and integrated approaches that we can deploy at various clients' facilities, because a lot of the equipment is basically the same. Controlling the engineering turnover process. As we're building, whether it's a pod-based solution or a stick-built-based solution, putting construction QA practices in place so that we're not finding things at the end when you go into the commissioning and qualification phase. Standard facility systems and equipment qualification. Airflow visualization studies for your aseptic process pieces. We have proven templates and protocols that we've generated depending on what you're doing to document that and do the filming and have them prepared for regulatory inspections. Coming up pretty early with an EMPQ strategy based on the risk profile of what's being developed, whether you're doing concurrent processing or things like that. Media fills and APS, again, coming up very early. We talked a lot of presentations about the data integrity strategy very early in the project and deploying that throughout the life cycle. So depending if you're a small company, how mature your internal systems are, or if you're a larger company, these people may have nothing and these people may have something, and helping guide the process for each one of those companies. And again, coming up with the process and cleaning validation strategy and the sterilization validation. So many of these services as a compliance group, we have offered over the years for the last 25 years as kind of standalone services. So what we did is we brought all these services together basically to serve the cell and gene therapy market. And finally, there's the manufacturing readiness and the QMS development, right? So like Vince was saying earlier, many of our customers may be hospital-based, small startups. They may have a staff of 4 people, and they really are looking at different consultants to come in and help them get their facility into operational readiness, right? So we started to develop this. We developed this program. So program and project management. What does that mean? A lot of times you need someone to come in and step inside and just run your program as you go from design all the way through operational readiness, right? A lot of the internal resources get strained during that process. Developing QMS systems. A QMS system could be very highly developed for a big pharma or scaled appropriately for a new startup company that's coming out to get on a fast-track product. Right? Pre-approval inspection readiness. As part of our base design services as a company, we do a lot of PAI prep type stuff, material flows, people flows. We develop that, but in this, supporting type C meetings that we do that, and coming up with the package that you'll need as a new company to get your product licensed. Developing your GMP audit program, whether that's your supplier audits or your internal audit programs that you're going to need to deploy when you move into operation. Because supplier management is so critical in this, because some of the suppliers that are serving this market right now are basically research and development, serve the research and development market. Now they're moving into full-scale GMP, the GMP market, having people that can audit them and audit their quality systems to protect our clients. We developed programs like that. finally, getting into like the SOP writing, operation and maintenance SOPs, basically coming out of your construction process with those developed and ready to go so that you can deploy faster. And with the SOPs, calibration and maintenance program development, right? There's a lot of decisions to make if you're a small company. Are you going to hire internal staff to do operation and maintenance? Are you going to come up with service contracts to do your calibration and maintenance programs, right? Is there someone who just manages a family of services, right? So helping people decide what to do, number one, and number two, helping them find the people and get into those service contracts with different people. Again, and then finally, your cleaning, disinfection, and EM strategy ongoing, right? These are all things that need to be thought of as you move into operational readiness. That basically, as we've started to find, a lot of smaller companies haven't thought that far ahead yet. And a continuous improvement program. So with that, if you want to talk or you have more information, we're real excited about this product because I think, what was this? There's 800 INDs.
There's a lot of activity in the market right now. There's over 400 companies. There's over 400 approximately products in the clinical trials. The FDA has said there's over 800 INDs. So the marketplace is really becoming that there's a lot of companies that are going to need this help, where they're moving from their CRO, their CMO into either their own facility or continuing in the manufacturing. So again, in kind of a summary, we're trying to take something from an early design phase all the way through to the facility is ready to operate. And how can we provide that turnkey solutions with the many different things that we do in IPS, taking our engineering expertise, our construction expertise, bringing upon this pod-based, this modular-based construction based on speed to market, and then having the compliance solutions, the turnkey compliance solutions that, again, that can help these smaller startup companies that are fully ready to operate when the project is done. So any questions? I think we have a minute or two for questions, or feel free to stop at our booth, 304. We can answer any questions from that standpoint.
Yeah.
We're good?
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.